Hello, this is Larissa Wiley, PA, and this is the Module 5 video synopsis for Adult Learning Theory. The annotated bibliography I chose was by Dreyfus, and it's the 5-stage model of adult skill acquisition. So in the book, the 5 stages of adult skill acquisition were just slightly different. The book listed novice, then competence, proficiency, expertise, and mastery. And Dreyfus does start with novice in this annotated bibliography. And basically, students in this set are following rules much like a computer follows a program. And so the instructor breaks it down into features that each follow a set of rules that the student can do prior to actually acquiring the desired skill. An example of this that Dreyfus used in this bibliography was a student driver. So the driver learns the idea of speed that can be measured by looking at the speedometer, and that is controlled by the accelerator. Also, a driver's education class will outline different driving rules. The next stage in this bibliography was advanced beginner, which in the book would correspond to the level of competence. Here, the novice gains experience coping with actual real situations and then develops an understanding of how those situations are relevant based on the context. They learn this idea of aspects, which are patterns that they recognize, and then they can apply those patterns to different situations. For example, a new driver who gets a little bit more experience may learn different patterns of traffic, may learn how to stop at a stop sign and get the car to a stop, and will get smoother over time and learn how to apply that to a situation. The next stage in this bibliography is competence, which in the book, the next stage would have been proficiency. And basically, this experience, the student just gains more of it. They're exposed to more elements and procedures, and this can be really overwhelming. So in order to actually achieve competence, the student has to learn how to prioritize what's important, what's actually relevant, and then what can be ignored. And then also at this stage, they learn that the rules don't always apply. And so experience really comes into play, and there's this new sense of responsibility for one's actions because you can't just always follow the rules. And so actual decisions have to be made by the competent learner. And there's this idea of fear of making the wrong decision, failure if you don't make the right decision, or elation if you do make the right decision. So the example listed in the bibliography was a competent driver. They're on an on-ramp and they're learning how to adjust the speed based on some of the experiences that they've had before. A competent learner has that situational awareness and these ideas of maxims that guide them as principles in different situations. The proficient learner, or in the book, the next level would have been expertise, is a competent performer that becomes more emotionally invested in the task. So they can't just use this detached rule-following approach. They're not quite using intuition. They still have to physically make the final decision, but they're starting to get there. They've got this situational discrimination, and they're less analytical and starting to become more intuitive. So for example, a driver that's proficient, they can kind of feel the way the car is moving in their bones, feel a sense of what to do next, and then they decide whether to slow down or accelerate. The expert, or in the book, this final level would be termed mastery, is vastly experienced. They can make quick decisions based on intuition. There's an automaticity to this. And so the experienced driver doesn't really think about what to do. They just feel what needs to be done. They just do it. And the quote used in this bibliography was, "What must be done simply is done." So that expert just has a vast array of knowledge to apply. This was a chart that was listed in the book, Novice. You can see that the commitment level is just very detached. The advanced beginner is also very detached. As they become competent, they have a detached understanding and deciding, but that's the involved outcome that starts to come into play where they're emotionally invested. As they become more proficient, they have more of an involved understanding. They're not quite so detached, but they're able to make decisions without such fear. And then we can see that the expert is very intuitive, very involved. Okay, these are the references, and thank you so much for listening.